Good morning. Well, this rain wasn't forecast. It said it'd be windy but not really rainy. But we're out here, we're doing it. I've put the brolly up. Have to get set up under here, get out there. Looking good. Look at all that, looks nice. Yeah, we're on the big pit, piking. Rivers are flooded to hell. So this is kind of like a bit of a backup for me. We regularly catch here, sometimes get fish into double figures, and I'm always hoping that there is that big one in here somewhere, who knows. 10 years I've not caught one, but yeah, we often get a good one, so we'll give it a try. Water levels back up in the summer when I was fishing, had my rod set up on the lake bed really, but now it's back up, it looks great. I'm buzzing for it, right. Let's get some bait out there, get a rod set up and get on it. First things first, few chunks of fish in the swim, get any pike that are in the area looking, and maybe bring a few pike in from out of the area. Well, it's slippy and muddy, and the peg's definitely been fished recently. I think carp fish because there's a bivvy mark in the grass, and when I pulled up, tufties were diving all over it, so I'm sure there's some bait out there. Yeah, this lake really shuts down in winter when it comes to carp, so I'm sure that bait is still just sat out there, unfortunately, you know. Hats off to people who are doing it. Hope you catch one, mate. Yeah, a winter carp from here is an absolute prize, so good luck to you. Yeah, I don't do it, I stick with my pike and perch. Just a few casts with a float there to set the depth. I think we're looking at about 8 or 9 foot, so I've got it set at about 10 or 11. That means that the bait and the weight can lay on the bottom, bit of slack line up to the float, which I'll kind of tighten. I'm not needing to pull it back too much to get the float to just start to cock, and that's about right. And even though I've got a single and a treble on there, I only brought back weed on one cast, so I'm confident there is weed on the bottom, which is nice for a pike, but not so much that my bait's getting buried in it. That's pretty good going. Right, let's get our first rod out. The route down to the swim is slippier than the floor of a Bangkok brothel, let me tell you. Don't ask me how I know. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch out. If I do hook a fish, I'm probably just gonna stand in the water to land it. Bloody hell. If this is what Bangkok's like, I'm not going. Anyway, I've got my ledger rod set up. I'll show you the rig, a few little subtle differences I do to get around the weed. And I've had a few casts of it, and again, not too much weed. I did notice if I go a little bit further, it locked up a bit. But yeah, not so much that I can't be presented in it, but I quite like a little bit of weed for pike. You want them laying in amongst it, coming out and grabbing their prey fish. That's kind of what I think anyway. Well, that's the rods out and everything tidied away. I've got one out on the float, one out on the ledger. And yeah, hopefully your morning's going better than mine, because the alarm is packed up on my left hand rod. I've changed the battery in it so it's not that. Worried that I maybe put it away a bit wet after my last session, you know, my carp fishing session, when it chucked it down a lot. So maybe some water's got into it, and I you know, it's been about a week since then, so perhaps it's corroded away a bit. They are ancient, those alarms are more like 15 years old now, but you know, still annoying. And then I bought my jigging rod with me today, but I've snapped the tip off it. I'm furious. I should have known better than to load that onto my barrow with all the other stuff. It's not broken, I have broken it. It's yeah, God, I'm an idiot. It's such a fragile light rod, and as I say, I should have known better than to stick it on a barrow with all the other stuff. Just loading it on, putting my tackle box on, and yeah, it's gone. Man, I'm fuming. Hopefully they do spares for that. I can just get one ordered. Sophie bought me that, so that's pretty upsetting, but yeah, might be time for some new alarms anyway. I don't actually own a receiver, so maybe I should buy a set that includes a receiver and yeah, join that club. Annoying, but the rods are out and fingers crossed we'll catch. Got to make up for it somehow. Get on eBay and see what I can find. Going to recast now, perhaps a little bit earlier than I normally would, but I need to swap over the alarms. So I've got the one that works on my ledger rod, because of course I can watch the float on the other one. Hopefully it'll dry out in the sun today. I have had a Delkin go on me before, and I just took it apart, laid it back out at home, let it all dry, and that, put it back together, and it worked fine. So fingers crossed that'll be the case. Being on eBay and that already, a replacement is 60 quid, and you can get a new free alarm set with a receiver and all that for about sort of between 150 and 200 quid. So do I want a whole new set with a receiver, or do I just want to replace this one, knowing that the other two are aging as well? That's always the gamble, isn't it? Forgot to say, the mince pie review will be happening. I've got another one from the old popular high street bakery. You know the one with the we built this city, you know. Brilliant. Okay, float's just gone. It's back up. It's back up. What's it doing? What? Oh. Nah. You see the mark on the bait there, like that. So must have been a small fish, you know. That's the width of the mouth going that way. So yeah, small fish, but still would have been nice to have not blanked. Right, let's whip it out there. That's a good bite. Right, I'm going to make a change in tactics here. I'm going to set the float to drift. So I'll set it much shallower, hopefully about a foot above the weed, put it back out there. And with the bait mounted horizontally, which I'm doing now, it'll look a bit more natural because I'm confident there are pike in the swim. It's just strange that we've not had any more bites, and unfortunately I've not got long today, so I can't really move swims and start again. But I've done this in the past and it's got me out of jail, so let's hope it works today. Okay, let's see. I let the float drift around the swim half a dozen times, casting different areas, different distances, and moving it up and down so it went through the water at different levels, but nothing happened. So I've slashed up the bait a bit, put it back on a deck in a slightly different area, so maybe that'll give us a bite. If I was here any longer, I'd move swims, but it's a short session today. It's the Christmas lights turning on tonight, so we're going to go to that with Stan, and yeah, I'd like to get home a little bit before that so I can help out a bit more. But we will now do the mince pie review. So obviously you know where it's from, my man Greg's. I've worked on high streets. Oh, bit of water on there. I've worked on high streets for about 12, 13 years now, so I know my way around a Greg's. I like a tandoori chicken baguette, I like their sausage rolls, and their puddings are normally pretty good too, but I do prefer Couplands for the puddings. Greg's for main, Couplands for after. So if they do a mince pie, I didn't actually spot whether or not they do one, that'll probably be the next one. Not gonna lie, I've squished it. There it is. It's got a lot of surface area though. They're round, they're big and round and flat. Look, not a lot going on there, not a lot of depth to this guy, and that was before I squished it. And yeah, not a lot of substance there. It's falling apart a bit, but it's good, and it did have sugar on the top. The first one to have sugar on the top so far that is just a mince pie, and I think that kind of adds a point already. I believe that is like a finishing touch. I'm into that. But let's go for it. Let's get the taste. So we're looking for good amounts of bits in the mince. We're looking for sweetness, but not too sweet. A little bit of bun spice, all that stuff. Big bite. Pretty good, pretty good. Well, not a great aftertaste, a bit kind of like a bit sweet and sour on the aftertaste. Yeah, let's have a look inside. So, get a bit of paste out there. Oh, you bugger. Well, I've lost a bit now. Not great firmness, shall we say. But yeah, I'm seeing raisins and things, so there's some good stuff going on in there. A lot of the goo, good goo to raisin ratio, nice pastry, a bit maybe a bit too on the flaky side, hence a bit on the floor. But good amount of pastry to filling ratio as well. This is actually pretty good. I've had a down on the Greg's ones in the past. I think I've had some in the past that are a bit overdone. But that's nice, that's putting in work. So Sainsbury's was at 7.2, M&S Frangipan was at 8. I think we'll put this somewhere in the middle. 7.5? 7.5 I'm comfortable with. Now that bit was a lot of pastry, that's good pastry, it's tasty that. 7.6, we'll give it a little bit more for the sugar on top. Yeah, 7.6, that was nice. Oh, yeah, oh man, can I salvage it? Is it too muddy? Yeah, I think we'll say that's too muddy. That's one for the geese. Ah, yeah, 7.6 for Greg's. Good, solid contender. Mince pie review done. Yes. Left-hand rod's pulled out. Get in, bring you down and show you this fish because it's quite a decent one. Fought really hard at the end there, proper running like a barbel or something. Oh! Man, that's actually pretty good. Might weigh that one because that's chunky. That could be the first double of the season. Very possibly. Bloody plane going over. But this fish, I've got to say, it's got to be a double. It's fat. Oh, it's brilliant. This is the kind of pike. Shut up! This is the kind of pike you dream of when you fish clear water gravel pits. This is what we come for. Dark, big, and hard fighting. You know, it's the same reason you fish for carp on places like this, that you want them real good looking fish. Oh man, it's hooked really nicely as well. Man, this fish is really active. It's good to see in a way. You don't want them struggling, gasping on the mat. Let me lift it up once. Oh, it's going crazy. Lift up once to show you. You can have a guess what weight you want to put on it. And we'll put it in a sling. Hey, so it must be a double if it's not very close. That's cool though, and the hooks came out really nicely. I'll just reposition that rod much closer in, just a few rod lengths out, maybe 2 or 3 rod lengths on the ledge here, which I'll show you when I put this fish back. A few little tricks to get around the weed. No popping up or anything like that, just good old-fashioned pike fishing. Get in, right. Sling is just to the side there. Incidentally, I don't necessarily pull the net out of the way when I'm unhooking fish. I saw it in a Facebook group the other day, and I agreed with the guy who put the post up there. When you're on your own, it's quite nice to leave the net there, so if the fish does really kick off, you can lift the net, so it's got like a cradle around it. And I totally agree with that. Something I do a lot, especially on uneven riverbanks. Although it's, you know, it's nice and flat here, but I don't want it to go crazy and flap off the mat. If you had people around you helping you, then maybe you could do that, but nah, I'm with you, mate. Keep the net there, then you can lift it up. Right, here we go. Be a double. Yeah, baby. Yes. 11 3/4. Oh yeah, man. And that's early in the season. This fish could go, well, I'd imagine closer to 15 later on. Show you again. I think this is the other side. I think we showed it the other way around the way before. So, oh, it's how gold it is in areas, and how, like, look at that gill plate. The golds, the yellows, the oranges. Man, that is why I fish clear water gravel pits. It's mottled, it's like a mossy rock. That's awesome. Look at that. Man, you are a very cool pike. Very cool. I can't stop looking at it. Right, get some pictures for myself and we'll put it back. Yes, no blank. Makes up for that undoubtedly little fish we lost earlier. Oh, lovely spot here to put this fish back. I can get in with my wellies on and just make sure it gets a nice solid release. Oh, oh you, this doesn't want to wait, does it? Off it goes. Man. There we are, back under the brolly, because this rain that wasn't really forecast. It's supposed to be clear and light rain, but it's just rained all day. So yeah, shouting under here. I've only got about another 40 minutes, so I'm so glad I've caught. I was thinking that I was staring down a blank, and I've been on quite a good streak recently, catching good fish every time I've been out. So I'm really happy that's continued. Right, the rig. Fishing for pike in weed, it is something that bothers people. It's like a block, a wall you've got to get past, but the pike love it. They love the weed. They're all about it, lying up in it, ambushing fish. You saw that fish, how dark and green it was. You know it's lying in them weed beds, especially the sort of Canadian stuff that comes up. You know, I don't really come across them lying in horrible slimy stuff. It's the thick like tree-like structures that we seem to be in. Anyway, I'm rambling. So what you've got to do when you're ledgering is put a long link between your lead and your swivel. So there I've got about 3 foot of just 15-pound mono just left over on a spool from you know, when you fill up a reel and you got that sort of 50 meters left on. I save that and I use it for jobs like this. It's a 3-ounce lead on the end. You might notice that it's a streamlined lead, so that comes out of the weed really easily because we're not using like a drop-off system, it's running. So you've got to have that kind of streamlined so it pulls through the weed easily. And yeah, you might notice there's no coating on that lead or anything, so I don't know how I caught a fish with an uncoated lead. I actually found this lead in this swim, so I thought it was quite poetic that I came back and used it and caught a fish with it, so I'm really happy with that. And the theory here is the lead can plunge down into the weed and then the rig just lands above it nicely. So I've got about 18 inches of very twisted up now 30-pound wire, a couple of size 4 trebles. I do have my single hook rig on the other trace, but on this one a couple of size 4s, and that's a bait I caught it with. I'm just going to put that back out because I've not got long. I would put a fresh bait out in normal scenarios, but yeah, I'm just going to go with it again. And what you've got to do is kind of find where the weed is easier to present in. You know, if I thought it was really thick but I thought the fish were there, I'd just lengthen this link. I wouldn't have it much more than kind of 4 or 5 foot. After that it gets a bit difficult to cast and control. But anything up to kind of 2 or 3 foot of weed on the bottom, you can easily fish in that. And by having braided main line and just casting around, it's like carp fishing. You're looking for the donks, you're looking for the kind of clear areas in between the weed beds. Just the same with pike fishing. And by having trebles on the end, of course, if you do land in a horrible weed bed, when you come to recast, which when I'm fishing for pike is sort of 3/4 of an hour to an hour, I'll pick it up and I'll know there's a weed bed there, so I won't chuck it there again. And throughout today with my recasting, I've found where it's clearer and then I can put a rig there. Right, hopefully I've explained that enough, not waffle too much. Gonna get it back out there, give it another 30-40 minutes and then get out of here. I'm well happy with that. Biggest fish of the season so far. We'll get a bigger one before the end, come on. That's it for me today. Time to stop slipping and sliding and get out of here. That's all my stuff away there, and I'm pretty happy considering the session started with a broken rod and a waterlogged alarm. Kind of came back round about as good as we could have hoped for, really. A nice 12, well, nearly 12-pound pike, and hopefully it's given you a little bit of confidence to fish big weedy gravel pits. You know, a few little tricks there to get around that and keep your alarms going when they do work, that is. Yeah, a bite on both rods. Shame to have lost that first one, or completely missed it, but I'm pretty sure it's a small fish anyway. Yeah, I'm happy. Got a long walk back to the car. Yeah, what a session. Pretty short video, but doesn't matter really, does it? Right, I'll get on my way now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone who put us over 4,000 subscribers, man. This is the first video I've made since we hit that milestone. And yeah, I'm really grateful. Thank you to you all. And I'll see you next time.